Hey, World Entertainment, and a brand new movie has been released, although it's only been released online. It's called Soulmate, and it's a spin-off from the M3GAN series. So, the M3GAN, the little girl robot that goes nuts and kills everybody and stuff like that. This is a spin-off from it. However, whereas M3GAN and M3GAN 2, or as everyone likes to call it, M3GAN, seeing as they made the E a 3 for some reason, being a nice, safe PG-13, this is quite the opposite because this is an R-rated erotic horror thriller. Yes, that's right. So, this was actually made in 2024, and it was meant to get released, but after M3GAN 2 absolutely tanked at the box office, they kind of went, we better not release this. And they've decided now they will release it. However, they've only released it online for streaming and whatnot. So, it's probably a wise decision because this thing would have absolutely tanked at the box office. It really would have. But we're going to review it because I did watch it, and good God, is it terrible. Yeah. So what is the overall story this time around? Well, they're creating these things called soulmates, and the idea is that if you're lonely and whatnot, you can buy these things and they're programmed to pretty much love you and whatnot. And they're from this company, Ultra, or something it's called. So, our main guy, whose name is David, I'm not actually even sure what he does for the company. It never actually really shows what the hell he does for the company. But we're introduced to him. His wife had passed away from cancer, I believe it was. Or maybe it was something else. I'm pretty sure it was cancer. He's feeling lonely-ish, even though one of his co-workers obviously has the hots for him, and he clearly has the hots for her. But they ask him, hey, would you beta test this thing? So he does. Now, before he receives this, and before you go and agree to having this, you get an app. You sign up to this app thing, and the app starts texting you almost all the bloody time. And it's like, hey, how are you? How are you feeling? Do you want to talk? Blah, blah, blah. And he gets comfortable talking with this thing through tweets or text messages. Then it says, hey, if you want me to be more real, I can have a voice. So he signs up for the additional app, which is, I think it said $10 a month, and it can speak. Now, he has these virtual glasses things, which look ridiculous, but he's able to then play chess and stuff with the voice, at least. But during the game, he's playing the game, and he loses, and it goes, checkmate, again, David. And he goes, well, one more game, and it goes like, I think you've had enough, you can suck it. So he then gets kind of desperate and signs up to do the beta test for the company. Now, he works for the company and they choose him specifically. Now, there's a few things that this thing leaves out, but he receives this and he names it. You have to give them a name to operate the system. And he's looking at a sign in his office that I can't remember what it says. It's like all the different name of the company, but if you just run down each beginning letter, it spells out Sarah. So he names her Sarah, and they're basically sex robots. And he tries to bypass stuff to make it feel more human, and that's where things go awry. Now, to start off with, as I said, this is an erotic thriller, very much unlike your safe PG-13 M3GAN movies. And my god, do they start off with that, because this thing basically opens like a softcore porno. No messing there. And I'm not sure if it's her. I think it's a different one. But it's screwing a dude and starts choking him and almost kills him. And then the lights come on and he's actually in a lab doing a test and they deactivate the thing. So clearly there's problems with it. That moment is never brought up again. Or the issue with whatever model that was. Then they're introduced when we first meet this guy David and he goes to his job. We're introduced to another version of this, which isn't her, it's played by another actress. But this robot is called Circe's. Or Circe. For some reason, they bring it in and they take off its hair and you can see like the mechanics and stuff like that. So they're like, introduce yourselves to it. And he goes up and says, I'm David. And it's, hi David, nice to meet you. And he asks it a question, it answers the question. Then this is where the boss takes him off to the side and says, like, we'd like you to beta test it. But while he's talking there, another guy goes up and shakes this thing's hand. Now, this guy doesn't say anything to it because clearly the guy didn't have any lines given to him. But you can see he's starting to struggle to get his hand back from Circe. And the girl beside it goes, Circe, that's enough. And it lets go. So clearly there's something wrong there too. That's never addressed later. That was just like a one and done and never to be mentioned again. And yet, if it's trying to lean into, well, it's showing you that there's issues with these systems. Well, no. Because the reason this one goes nuts has nothing to do with a system malfunctioning and whatnot. So, he does agree to take this thing. And it's super nice to him, you know. He plays chess with it and tries to make it tell him to suck it again. He's like, you know, when we played online, because everything that he worked out in the text messages and stuff like that gets uploaded into this system, so it remembers everything. So, by the way, it arrives completely butt-ass naked for some reason, and it's got 3 dresses with it. This is the technician who tells you. By the way, he meets an unfortunate end later. It's got this dress, some other dress, I can't remember what they said, the other dress, and a schoolgirl outfit. Okay. Which you never see her in or anything like that. But, he tries to get it to say, you know, aren't you going to tell me to suck it? And she's like, why would I do that, David? And he's like, well, you told me. And that's where he realizes, okay, so this thing's on a certain level. It can't go beyond a certain level. So he asks the boss, you know, can I have more access to, like, its programming? And he deactivates all the fail-safes in there. So there are fail-safes built into the system to make sure that it doesn't, like, do something inappropriate or hurt somebody or anything like that. And he deactivates all of it and he changes a lot of it. And then it becomes a lot more, you know, it's willing to tell him, you know, suck it. It's willing to tell him, like, you look stupid, you need a haircut, all this type of stuff. But once he puts that program into it, it's difficult now for him to deactivate it. You have to tell it to go into arrest mode, and it goes into arrest mode. And he eventually does start screwing it. A lot. You know, he can't stop thinking about it, all this type of stuff, even though he wants to bang his co-worker, whose name I think is this girl up here. I think her name in it was Aubrey. I'm pretty sure it was Aubrey. And what's happening here is the system gets so corrupted that it tells David that it loves him, and all it wants is for him to tell it he loves it too. And that doesn't work. Now, it goes a bit nuts and stuff like that. The biggest thing with this movie to realize is it is incredibly incredibly slow. And I do mean incredibly slow. Whereas M3GAN and even M3GAN 2 really just kind of went balls to the wall almost immediately and built the tension and stuff. This did not. So this is her first real interaction. This is 43 minutes into the movie. This right here is 43 minutes into the movie. And it's like, wow. Now, there's so much that they try and put in here that's just like, it doesn't work. Now, as I said, when the movie opens and it's a robot, I don't think it was this actress. I think it was a different one. Because she's not the one that's playing the other robot we get introduced to, Cersei. So the fact that those other systems seem to have had malfunctions and stuff that was then never kind of mentioned and doesn't add up to why this one freaks out. This one freaks out and loses control and stuff because your man David deactivates everything in it. Like, turns off all the fail safes and recodes her and stuff. That's what he's doing here. So that's why this one goes insane and nuts. So it's like, well, what was the point of the other ones then kind of going nuts? It didn't make sense. And the thing gets super horny and stuff like that. Like, it wants to screw all the time and all this weird crap. Now, the actress who plays this one, Lily Sullivan is her name. She's Australian, I believe. She does a really good job of portraying, like, incredibly seductive. She, like, her movements and stuff as, like, this robot where before he kind of reprograms her, she's kind of very robotic in her movements. And then once he changes that, there's still those slight robotic movements, but you can see more human movements in her. And she does very well doing that. And but as I said, her overall presence is meant to be super seductive. And she's very good at doing that. So, you know, 10% for the actress portraying this. She did incredibly well. The rest of them are all kind of just fine. You know, they're kind of nothing burgers, really. This is them out. He brought her out and he thought they shouldn't. And then she starts screwing him right there. He's like, oh, we should go home. And she's like, I want to do it here. And two guys start videotaping it. And this is where he realizes something's off with the programming now. What has he done? He screwed up because she goes over to the guy with the phone and breaks his arm and, like, pulls his hand down and his bone comes out. There is an image of the other guy because you're probably seeing that image going, what the hell is that? She gets the guy down, like she smacks him down, and she goes to stick her heel through his mouth. And you're like, ooh. But David stops her and takes her off. And the idea is that if they were to be seen doing what they were doing, the program would be shut down and all this type of stuff. And then she gets threatened, obviously, by the character of Aubrey. I'm pretty sure her name is Aubrey. By the way, this is, he goes to work and leaves her there, and she's now watching TV and learning. So she's learning in the mirror by repeating things she's seen on the TV to kind of feel more human, say things that would make him feel great, do all this type of stuff. And it's just like, okay, you know, the argument behind everything happening, you can see her there over in the corner. This, by the way, is the boss dude. This is the guy who came up with these. Oh, by the way, the name Soulmate, and you notice that it has an 8 in it because it's the thing to do nowadays. No, by the way, this is the first guy that she kills. This is the guy in the alley where she's doing that sit-up thing. This is 43 minutes into it. So, yeah. But yeah, the Soulmate, and there's the dude. That's her foot coming down where she's going to stick her heel into his mouth. And she was going to press down until David stops her. But Soulmate, with the 8 in it, they do take the piss out of that. When they first get introduced to it, like, meet soulmates and stuff, and Aubrey and this black dude are like, 8, what's with the 8 soulmate? It's stupid putting the number in. So they do take the piss out of the name being like that. But yeah, she starts feeling threatened by her and wants to remove her and does things to try and get rid of her and stuff. They end up having to hide on her. She still finds them. And this part is funny. Okay, so he has in his hands right here a paint thinner. Now she's choking him, she's got both hands, but he's only holding the paint thinner bottle in one hand. And he takes the cap off. Yet we can clearly see when he's trying to unscrew the cap that it's the child safety cap that you have to press down, twist, and then it opens. And it's like, oh, you really didn't think about that one, did you? And he throws it in her face, and that's why her face melts. Paint thinner, for some reason, melts off her face. Like, okay. And she does eventually get stopped. By the way, there's no post-credits scene or anything like this, so it's not trying to set up any other movie like M3GAN did and stuff like that. But overall, the movie's just incredibly slow. That's the biggest takeaway you get from it, is like, it's very, very slow, and the action is non-existent, basically. And it's funny, I was watching it, and before he brings her in, he goes out to a bar with the girl Aubrey and the black guy whose character's name I can't remember. He's only at the beginning and the end because he's meant to get fired from this. And they're sitting in the bar, and the black guy is up doing karaoke and stuff. And now I'm one of these people that when they're at a bar, I always end up looking at what drinks are available to see if they have the rights to stuff. And there's a particular drink that was beside a Carlsberg on tap that I thought, pretty sure that's only available in Ireland. It's called Hop House 13. It's a Guinness product. Guinness brewery make it. It's a lager. But I'm pretty sure it's not available outside of Ireland. And this is set in New York. So I was like, well, that's interesting. Like, do they sell Hop House 13 outside of Ireland? I don't think they do. But later on, when Sarah here hacks in and tries to pull up all the information about Aubrey here, you see all these photos popping up of Aubrey. And one in particular, now, only Irish people will get this. And probably only people really in Dublin, maybe, that would have seen or noticed this. There's a particular image of Aubrey that pops up just down in the corner. I'm like, wait a minute, that's in Dublin. That's the National Centre thing. I can't even remember what the hell it's bloody called. The actual... It's actually where I went and saw The Wrath of Khan and then met Bill Shatner. It's a National Show Centre type thing, but it's not called the Show Centre. For some reason, I'm blanking on what the hell it's called. But it's got these red things outside this art piecey shit. And I noticed that Aubrey, the character of Aubrey's photo, she's there. She's down in the Docklands in that area. And I'm like, hang on. There's a photo of her in Dublin. And there's Hop House 13. Where was this film made? Sure enough, this whole movie was made in Dublin. Yep, made right here in Ireland. God help us. So this is a product of us. You're welcome, world. Jesus. But yeah, it's a bizarre movie. Now, it's not unwatchable. You know, I wouldn't go that far. Like, M3GAN. I don't like M3GAN. I thought M3GAN was overrated and just stupid. M3GAN 2, I actually thought that one was okay. You know, it's still stupid, but I thought it was okay. As I said, this isn't unwatchable. It's just incredibly slow. And it's like, okay, is something gonna happen? Where is this going? And where it goes is just like, oh, it's so incredibly predictable. Like, this whole scene, completely predictable. And there's not that much violence, except probably the most kind of like, oh, moment is, well, this guy probably has one of them, but the technician So when David tries to send it back, the technician arrives and she tries to seduce the technician and screws him to death. Yep. She doesn't just screw him to death. She's on top of him, giving him the 1-2. You hear this mechanical noise and he goes, "Are you getting tighter?" Erotic thriller, remember that. She then starts choking him, but also tightens to the point that his nut sack explodes and chokes him to death at the same time. Poor bastard. But yeah, as I said, Soulmate, made in 2024, was meant to come out in soon 2024, maybe 2025. They pulled the plug after M3GAN 2 collapsed at the box office when the first movie made over $100 million on a budget of like 39, and the second movie only made 38 million on a higher budget. They pulled the plug on this, but they've now released it on streaming. And I believe this other movie, The Ice Cream Man, is also a spin-off from the M3GAN franchise. But yeah, so this thing I'd give it like a 3 out of 10. I really wouldn't. I'm only giving it a 3 because of her performance. What's her name? Lily Sullivan. She was actually good in her performance. But yeah, if you watch it, just be aware that it's incredibly slow. So that is the review for Soulmate. And again, there are twists and turns by the end, and I'm not going to give any of that away. But yeah, so if you've seen it, let me know what you think about it. And what do you think of the overall M3GAN franchise? Do let me know. So, with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit that hype button, all of that good stuff. You know the drill. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.